I decided the show needed to start with the dog just licking away, just up here being like, hey, hey, there's there's the dog to start the day. Hello, everyone. It's after a Friday of some connection issues. I'm so glad to be joined by my lovely friend Jamila. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hello, my beautiful people who are joining us, and hello, and thank you, my good friend Jamila, for joining us. How are you? I always feel weird saying how are you, my love, after we've just spent 15 minutes, chatting. Tell the people how you're doing.
Oh my goodness! I in full transparency, I've got a kid going through puberty, and that's always hard. It's really hard in a pandemic. He's schooling from home, which is really hard in a pandemic. I'm hanging in there, and we have like one little piece of Christmas ornamentation up so far, and we've just decided that we're going to just bake and cook and bake and cook and just decadent our way through the halls. Decadent through the halls.
I like it. It's Simon has entered the chat. Yeah, that's kind of that is kind of how we're doing it here too. I have baked like in the likeness of our wonderful friend Victor Harris.
Yes!
I have now. He has not given me the cheesecake recipe, but he has told me the ingredients in it, and I have reverse engineered the Rochelle's cheesecake. I'm very close to it. I'm probably within 95% of the accurate recipe, and I've just been baking cheesecakes nonstop. For everyone in my house, and it has been a fattening and wonderful month of just baking, and like everyone's been we've been doing a lot of renovations on the house because there are 10 of us here. There's a bunch of musicians who are like, I'm gonna cut down some trees and I'm gonna make a stone walk in the driveway. So not the stress of raising a 13-year-old hitting puberty who's doing remote schooling, but lots of really pent up, horny musicians who would rather be out doing music and humans.
Yes,
so that's
oh man, we went to the grocery store, the son and I. And
you're braver than me. I'm ordering everything online. Oh, also, I had to get a COVID test yesterday because my husband had a potential exposure at work. So I ordered all my Christmas groceries online because I'm waiting for my results back. But no one in the house is sick, and we've already had multiple test results come back negative. So we're just waiting on ours.
Oh wow, yeah. I live in DC, but I'm in a remote location because I live in a building with a bunch of government workers, namely Mike Pence staffers. I'm told there are a couple Secret Service agents, but we never see them. And to be blunt, there have been at least 2 outbreaks a month since about April in my building in DC. So we are away from the city, and ain't no delivery out here. I could get Amazon Prime stuff, but they don't come where I live. So we it's safer for my family to drive into DC where mask mandates are taken seriously and just, buy a whole bunch at Costco and then, 6-8 weeks later go back but for fresh stuff and green stuff I got to go into the grocery, which I'm in a very sparsely populated place, so cool. My son and I go in, and we they know us as those paranoid city folk because we've got on the cloth mask, and then we got on face shields, and a lot of times my son will wear gloves. Yeah, I really have a lot of things to do. Death is not on my list right now. So
exactly. I plan on living forever. So far, so good.
So exactly, it's working out for us. So we go in this one grocery store. I'm buying stuff, and I go, wow, people seem to be wearing masks in here. Okay, there are 3 guys with beards sticking out, mustaches out, whatever. We give them our space. The folks who I was really happy about wearing masks turned around and went, Jim Bob Lou Waloo, down around the neck, start like hugging and damn near making out with people who are walking into the store. And I'm like, that negates the whole reason you are wearing the mask. But
I've seen some masks on someone's chin. I'm like, it's not a chin, it's not a beard protector. Like, and this is like, there are times when my level of knowledge, and I'm sure this happens to you too, because we're both, we like you do writing all across the board in journalism, but you also do science writing. There have to be times when our knowledge level hurts us and makes us paranoid when we're out shopping. Because
oh my God, yes.
I've seen someone who, like, how sometimes you're walking through the store and you just get there at the same time as someone and you keep bumping into each other through the aisles. I happened to get there at probably about the same time as a guy with a big fucking beard and a mask over it. And I'm like, that mask is doing shit, sir. Like, and we just up and down the aisles, same time, over on top of each other. And I'm like, please, God, don't let this guy have COVID, because this is not okay.
And I just, and I have to remind myself, and I like to tell my child, honey, people are not getting COVID from going to the Piggly Wiggly,
You're unlikely, yeah.
Yeah, even in contact with someone who is actively full-blown COVID-19 positive, the interaction is so brief. Plus, we're wearing our mask and our face shields. I also usually wear glasses.
I try to wear my glasses when I go to the store, just because my contacts will kind of float around in my eyes every once in a while, and I don't want to sit there and touch my eyes.
Exactly. You know what? Yeah. Do you also have astigmatism without my glasses?
I do.
Yeah. See, the astigmatism. They do. So for us, you blink wrong, or you think of something sad, and an extra tear gets there. We're touching our eyes,
or you move your face just the wrong way a little.
Exactly.
Or you think about you get a little angry, and the glasses.
Exactly.
I want to clarify something from my last stream. I said that someone was accidentally of the belief that I needed glasses now. I needed them a few weeks ago, and I went to the doctors and I got them. And somebody threw some cash into my PayPal so I could get I have the glasses, but thank you so much thank you a lot, Russell. I appreciate it. I'll throw them into new glasses next time. But my kitty ear glasses are still rocking, and you guys helped pay for those, so thank you so much. But I love my kitty ear glasses. They match my everything. I have to find joy in these hard times, and kitty ears on everything is a doing it for me right now. Good time. So it's one of the I don't know. Should we talk about the COVID vaccine first?
Let's. Oh God, yes, please.
Or should we talk about my fan mail?
Oh, let's leave on a high note and do fan mail for you.
Yeah, let's all right. The fan mail was funny, so let's do some COVID vaccine myths, because there have been a lot of them already. So I asked you guys before this in the pre-stream screen. It's Russell. I see your comment, Russell. Russell, I appreciate you so much. You drop stars in here every week over on Facebook, and stars are one of the fun ways you guys can I always feel weird that there are gamified ways to send support and money. One of the best ways you guys can support the channel is via my Patreon. There's an extra Patreon stream each month. You guys get extra little brain droppings from me, and of course on the Patreon stream, I occasionally prank call Republican senators, and by occasionally, I mean this is an every month thing. So if I love the stars that come in via Facebook. It's a great way to support this, keep me and the science pets alive. But join the Patreon. It's the greatest. It's the best way to keep me going. And again, there's extra content for patrons. So the links are below. And the other thing is my Amazon wish list is listed below. Send me candy. Just send me candy. That just lifts. It makes my spirits bright. Anyways, back to the vaccine. So there have been a couple of things that have come up. One person asked in the pre-stream thread, I heard a rumor that it causes HIV. I don't know if they were joking, but how? Like, number one, there's no HIV. Not even. There are two. Okay, so there are two vaccines that are not on the market yet, from AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson, that use an adenovirus vector. There's no HIV in there. I don't know how it could cause that. The other ones are mRNA vaccines that, again, no HIV. No one was reported to get HIV in the trials. And since they've only been out on the market for a week, and the incubation period in order to be infected and then cause and the ones that you need to be infected with HIV for, I believe, at least a month before you'll ping positive. So
I mean, in fairness, okay, I'm trying to I'm trying to get my mind. Maybe you say, oh, well, I am mostly protected from the strain that we currently have of COVID-19. I'm going to go out and have random sex with people whose HIV status I don't know. But even then, it wouldn't come up that quickly. I can't do it. Like, so I just want to disclose really fast because, you know, and it's my training.
Here's a clarification. I guess people were testing a false positive for HIV. So does not cause HIV, causes a false positive test for it. So it doesn't cause HIV. False positive test. Don't panic. So
oh my goodness.
Doesn't give you the HIV. So I'm glad to be able to clarify. Thank you. This is why this is a group effort, guys. Thank you.
I love your audience. I just these are some of the smartest people on the internet.
And we say this not just to compliment you guys. It's because they know that I'll take correction too. Like, because I know, like, part of being a good skeptic is not saying I'm rational, therefore I'm right. It's saying I'm rational, therefore I know I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Because I'm wrong a lot, but these guys are great at giving it to me.
Exactly.
So anyway,
you know,
anyways, you were saying, sorry.
So I have a couple disclosures to make. You know, like, first of all, my family originated, at least on my mom's side, in Tuskegee, Alabama, after we were stolen here. That's number one. Number two, I've got a baby sister who's a doctor of epidemiology. So there was a time where, like, going to buffets and sushi restaurants were really, like, frightening for me. And then I was like, whatever, I've got a healthy immune system. But this was decades ago. Decade ago. She'll get mad because she's not as old as I am. And then another thing, I also have a sister who does work at AstraZeneca. She's on the sales side. So, you know, I just want to make it real clear that, you know, if I say anything positive about the AstraZeneca vaccine, it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm trying to, like, you know, use insider information or whatever, because, you know, I've got a sibling that works there.
Say positive things about vaccines. Yeah. Do it all you want.
Yay. So, but also that means that, you know, when I get on hey, let's have a family Zoom call, like, I'm talking to people who are literally thinking about these things and in the trenches about the way this stuff works, how it works. And you might have noticed that I and my family, which you can't see, but we're Black people. So
what?
Yeah.
How long have you been sitting on this information, Jamila?
Oh my God! I feel like
I say this every time
come out, and I'm openly Black.
I'm in the closet about being Black. I'm staying in until Rachel Dolezal really leads the way on this for us and makes it acceptable for
now. That's not her name anymore.
Sorry, I know you.
Nkechi Amari Diallo.
One day she'll do your hair. You just keep asking.
She's advertising to do people's hair in Tucson, and I'm like, lady, there's a pandemic going on. You do not, like, I understand that you can put on masks, and even in Tucson, I don't know what the weather is. You could probably go outside, you know, risk mitigation, but, like, do not be doing people's, like, I'm just mad because I can't ever braid my hair, because
I'm just one day, maybe, like, if you just went under a pseudonym and got her to do your hair and she didn't know you're a journalist and just started asking some light little questions. I want to know how that experience. Look, I had like back so true story. Back when I worked at summer camp when I was 20, I had like it was a very mixed race camp. Half the campers were black, half the campers were white, and most of the campers in my bunk were black, and they started braiding my hair. I did not realize how tight those braids were until they were sitting there pulling and like it's they were one of my girls was like, "Stop whining, you're tender headed."
Oh my God! Yes.
But,
at least you didn't smack you with the comb on your leg and say, "Sit still, sit still."
They were so good at it when they were so young. But yeah, it's I learned I learned that I know shit about dealing with black hair, and I learned that those girls go through a lot to keep their hair as well done as it is. But yeah, that is my one experience with that.
And also because your hair doesn't coil.
Yeah.
You've got to pull it tighter or else the braid will go slack. Whereas my hair, I mean, all I got to do is like pinch it and it coils on itself. Let me.
Are you 4C or what's your?
I am 4C. So for folks who don't know, there is a okay. So we know Oprah. Oprah had a hairdresser back in the late 80s, early 90s named Andre. He only went by Andre. He has a last name. I don't know what the hell it is. And in order for people to recognize,
just be Andre.
He is Andre. She is Oprah.
Exactly. And just like I'm Yvette, you're Jamila.
I am Jamila. Yes. And you know, I was the original Bey. I've been Bey for a very long time. But anyhow, so
Bey is old Bey.
Yes. Yeah. So Andre. Oh God, Tucson is okay. So I'm not going to Tucson to get my hair braided, but
oh shit, Tucson is literally on fire.
Yeah, I ran out of ICU beds. Okay, canceled all events. Curfew 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
So Nadichi is not doing hair right now.
Not wisely, at least. But so anyhow, we have all kinds of hair, and in order for Andre to tell various people what their hair was like in terms of the products that they'd want to consider, he came up with this, you know, way of classifying. So if you think of Lucy Liu, straight hair, does not curl easily, gonna be straight. Andre Walker, thank you. Yes, Oprah Winfrey, Andre Walker, got it. Thank you, Missy. That's 1A, straight, whatever. So we're going to jump to 4. 4 tends to be hair that African people have. Now,
what we think of as the stereotypical tight curly.
Tight curl. So if your hair will afro, and some of my Jewish friends, y'all got 4, your hair is 4 too. A lot of times you'll think it's a 3, but we'll get into that. So 4. The hair, you want to think about the letter like L, straight, like jagged, kind of, you know, fro to the sky. You've got perfectly round coils that look like springs if you extend the hair. My hair pattern looks like kind of an O. When I wash it, it's about 1 inch to 2 inches long. When I pull it out straight, it's about 14 inches long.
Wow.
You know, yeah, like my, yeah, and I've yeah. Well, you know what? I'll come next time I come with you. I'll have my hair just kind of blown out because it really is like 14, 15 inches long. So then you've got like S, like wavy curls. So if we think about who's got hair like, a lot of mixed race people tend to have that S pattern, like Zendaya, or just sort of what Sofia Vergara. She's more of a 2, but that wave.
That's kind of what my hair does when I do nothing to it. Because my mom had ringlets and my father's Jewish, and somewhere in there, my hair just does what it wants. Between somewhere, my brother had ringlet curls, and I got somewhere in between my mom, like the waves and the ringlets. So, but definitely not like I am not at a point where I need to be like analyzed on the how do I manage this? I just need to blow it dry and it flattens right out.
2 things that I love to tell, especially people who have mixed racial background. If you're Jewish, please listen to me. Seriously. Oil is your friend. Do not wash all the oil out of your hair. And it's okay. Like if you, even in a pinch, like hand lotions and stuff, like if just something that's going to weight that hair down a little bit, weight stops frizz. Weight stops frizz. You put a little bit of, pomade or something, and it allows your hair to kind of do what it wants to do. If we think about that movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy, and you think about that super tight coil that has been described as a peppercorn, that's that tightest, roundest curl pattern. And to be honest, that's the type of hair that I have. I've just recently started using like all these, herbs from Africa on my hair.
Told me about that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God. So there's a bunch of them, but the one that everybody is into right now that I really love is called Chebe, Chebe. And women in Mali, use fat and butter and these herbs. They're like cherry pits that are burned and
Nice.
pulverized and all of this other stuff. And you actually put it in your hair with water and a butter, and then braid it up, and it makes your hair retain all kind of moisture, because hair like mine loses moisture very easily. Hair like mine releases heat easily. That coil allows, when we were on the savannah 20,000 years ago, I don't want hair like yours that contains heat. Your hair gets wet and you stay warmer than I do. My hair gets wet, it coils to my head and releases heat really quickly. Yeah. So you can go online and find it. I don't carry a torch for any particular brand, but you do want to make sure that your
fellow curly girls want to know where you get it.
Okay, now here's the thing.
And Dana's a scientist. Help a sister out.
It is very, very. It smells like a campfire. Okay, so you might want to use a carrier oil. Something I like to use lemon oil, because But then again, I'm out in the damn country. Campfire is an aphrodisiac out here, so like, so the husband kind of likes that I smell earthy. But so there's that. If you've got a sensitive scalp, namely if you are somebody who's got sensitive skin, or if you are somebody who like is tender-headed and you don't like stuff pulling at your hair, shaving on your scalp is going to itch and it's going to be uncomfortable. So don't get it on your roots. Do the end, and rinse it out. For me, I leave it in my hair, and my hair has never been happier in my life, ever. So yeah. So hair. I didn't know I'd be talking about hair, but yay.
The one thing that's made my hold on a second. The only thing that has made my hair not a thing that I hate, and I get it. This is just I have very thin hair, excessively thin hair. It was always thin, and then I got put on Topamax for my headaches, and it made it thinner. This has been the one thing that has made my hair not a fucking nightmare. My husband's bringing me coffee. It's the best time of day. There are people in chat who love this moment of the day, because they're like, this is truly the he's coming on camera. I'm so excited. Hey baby. It's come on over. Hey. There's my favorite human. Come closer.
You can't give him too much.
Come closer. Come on over. He's like, you got to let him work for it. Come here. Come closer. Come closer. There we go. He's like, he's such a tease. I got to work that hard for a kiss on camera. Jeez. I'll work harder for something more later. He's such a cutie, isn't he? It's like, I don't know if everyone who's watching this knows this. I met him via SciBabe. Like, that's how, like, look, all of the, like, don't don't go on Match.com. Don't go on Tinder. Start a website in which you're ranting about pseudoscience, and the babes will come for you. Like I didn't go on any other dates with other guys from the website who were hitting on me. He started following me the first month I had the Facebook page, and I thought he was a chemist. He was local and he had great hair, and I was like, oh, he's so cute. And we'd flirted for like a month, and I was dating someone and he was dating someone, and like I was like, oh shit, he's got a girlfriend, and I backed off. And like 4 months later, we'd both broken up with our people, and I was on vacation in New Hampshire. Or visiting my mom, and I was like, and we started flirting, and so we like went on a date the first day I got back. So.
Oh wow. I didn't know that.
No, sorry, we were not flirting. We were conversing at first when we met, or when we first started talking, and like it was like, oh, they're cute. Oh shit, you have. Anyways, but as soon as as we were both like single, it was like, oh, I've had a crush on you from across the internet for a few months, and then we went on a date like the day that I got back from New Hampshire, and we've been inseparable ever since. So that's the story of how I met. So I'm just saying, I didn't date fans. I went on a date with one fan, and it happened to work out. Yay. So good time. So he's delightful, and I love him. Anyway.
You are lucky people to have each other, because you're so adorable and so cute. And people like who know my husband and know me are like, oh yeah, I forgot you two were married to each other. Like, Jamila, you never talk about your husband. Like, and I'm like, well, it just doesn't come up. I don't know. It's like, it's funny.
Here's the thing, like I talk about Derek as it comes up on here, but it's like it's not like the topic of, like, I'm not running a marriage show. Like he doesn't even come up that much on my porncast, because I'm not there to talk about my sex life, you know.
Right, yeah.
So, and it's like that's an area where you'd think that would come up more, but it's like no. My husband never signed up for me to for someone to discuss his sex life. It's on a show about porn, so we don't talk about that on that show. It's anyways, strange little, but anyways, yeah, I love my little morning coffee routines on Sunday. So anyways, let's hop back over to talking about the vaccines and whatnot. So somebody popped in here with a long rant that I'm gonna throw onto the screen for a second just to show how long it is, and then take it right up. Like it doesn't even fit on here. Like I'm gonna try to read some of it before I get bored of reading it, because it's obviously covering both of our faces. There are vaccines, and there is the unproven mRNA Methodist, which by the way, was never been used or given approval except in an emergency. The mRNA injection has many problems with it, as stated in medical literature, and the warnings included could potentially make your immune system more vulnerable. BC now, there is an extra protein along with the additives, which may cause serious allergic reactions. Moreover, the research indicates that the additional protein spike could change your hormones, which may cause birth effects and or infertility for a bit or long period of time if they don't know the research. Finally, it is unproven this will be effective for a long period of time or working mutations. There are better real vaccines being created based on over 50 years of research and use. Pfizer, not spelled correctly, has been sued and has paid billions of lawsuits for fraud, and yet we should trust the new way for us to be guinea pigs. So, all right. Yeah, this person's a crazy person. So it would be really, really hard for there to be lawsuits about an mRNA vaccine or all this medical literature about mRNA vaccines not working when we haven't had an mRNA vaccine yet.
Yeah.
So,
okay. See, this is one of those things where
guinea and pigs.
Birth effects. Anyhow, I think all of us technically are birth effects if we think about it.
We are the effects of birth.
Yeah, no, but
actually, we're sex effects. Oh my god!
It's okay to say I don't understand things and it's scary because I don't know. That's fine. that's fine. There are folks who can explain this. There are folks that can, but just the word salad of
Yeah.
the Methodists didn't know about RNA. They when they split, when the Great Reformation happened and there was the split from the Holy Catholic Church and the Methodists came, lady, I don't, it's so hard. I'm trying to be nice.
No, I feel you.
Yeah,
trying to be nice right now is difficult when people are saying I'm not anti-vax, but and then out of their mouth every anti-vax argument.
You know what? I'm going to overtalk you for a moment on your own live stream side.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn off my microphone for a second.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this opportunity. This very week, I have lost people close to me because of COVID-19. As a Black person in the US, I am statistically the likeliest person to die from COVID. I recognize, and the reason I even brought up that, my ancestral family is from Tuskegee is because you've seen all of these, sadly, poorly done discussions. Some have been done well, but they haven't gotten the reach of the ones that are just poorly done. That say, oh, Black people, only about a quarter are willing to take the vaccine. Black people are skeptical about the vaccine. Hashtag Blackcine, about the vaccine.
That would be amazing branding, though.
And why is this? Well, okay, so I'm going to talk about Tuskegee for a minute, just for a very quick minute. So Tuskegee, Alabama, tiny little town. Montgomery is about an hour away. That's the big city. Tuskegee has a university there. It's where George Washington Carver, the guy who made all of the products out of peanuts, studied and taught. There was a study funded by Congress, untreated syphilis in the Negro male. And what they did is they looked at these men who had contracted syphilis. And despite the fact that science knew that penicillin would cure syphilis, Congress paid to see what would happen if you just didn't treat syphilis. What goes on? So these were men who went mentally insane. These are men who had dead babies because they passed syphilis to their partners and then babies. And they just looked at what happened, and they would call these men in and say, hey, Terrence, let's check. Oh, wow, this disease is progressing in you. Okay, great, thanks. We've taken some blood. We've given you some back rubs and some liniment oils, and there you go. And that was the whole point. Nobody was ever injected with anything. Nobody was ever, to say that, now here's the thing, to say that the government was spreading syphilis, I can see how there are people who would say that. If you give a whole bunch of men who have syphilis back to their communities untreated, well, goddamn right, you're spreading it. The government didn't initially give the syphilis to these men in this cohort or whatnot. So there's that. There are also a whole bunch of illustrations through this government, through the history of the US, where children in institutions, Black children in institutions were, experimental treatments were given to them, radiation. There's you know what, if you've got an hour, Hole in the Head, go to YouTube, Hole in the Head, true story of a man who got radiation when he was, 5 years old. He got too much and it literally dissolved a hole into his head, and he lived for more than 70 years in this condition. There's a lot of reason to be skeptical if you are an American. If you're a Black American, that gets ratcheted up. However, we all recognize that this COVID-19 virus is something that is requiring that we do something about it. And this is not a new vaccine. I mean, yet technically this is a new vaccine, but coronaviruses are something that are long known to people, long known to humans. And there are Henrietta Lacks, yeah, I see. It's hard for me to bring her up without going off for like 40 minutes. So I'm going to pull this back. Yes, Henrietta Lacks. There are a whole lot of, there are a number of books that I've got to shout out. Medical Apartheid is one. The entire practice of gynecology came to be because women who were enslaved were held down on tables with no anesthetic, no consent, and forced to be not even as guinea pigs. They were forced to be those who endured vivisection, sexual assault, and worse. We know now that even a decade ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, there were still Black women and Hispanic women getting sterilized without their consent in California. There's a lot of reason to be skeptical. However, when we have people dying, actively dying, son, I need you to be a little more quiet, honey. Thank you. Oh, puberty. They need their friends and they can't get together, and everything is all on their headsets, and it's weird. People are dying. We know how we can stop this. We know how we can make it such that we are likely to be able to go back to the way it was when you could breathe on a stranger. When we could, when I could go to a Costco and not have a damn mental breakdown because somebody touched me and I don't know who they are. This particular vaccine is treating something that we know is likely to kill, if not you, somebody you care about. We are in a pandemic, and we are treating this pandemic. Nobody's experimenting on you during this pandemic. Nobody is, just trying to make money off of you. I'll tell you who's making their, plastic, the gloves that we wear were like 2.8 cents per glove in the US until March of this year. Now they're like 28 cents per glove. There are people making money. Everybody who gets to deliver your groceries or whatever and then gouge the actual worker who's driving it to you. Those are people making money during this pandemic. Those who are trying to make it so that we can get to the point where we can go back to normal. I mean, oh my God, I am gray like a snowy damn owl right now. I have not had anybody touch my hair who's not me in the past, 11 months. It is hard, and I look horrible, and I would love to be able to go back to the spa because other people go to church, I go to the spa, and I have not had my, my waterfall cleansing experience in 11 months.
I'm going to sneak back into the stream now just because I think we both are missing are we both missing our Korean spas right now?
Yes, we are. I haven't had the Korean scrub where I go, ow, that hurts, keep doing it.
My body, where you're afraid they might tear a nipple off, but you love it.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
if
you
you guys
can't
are
stop touching yourself
if
afterwards.
you guys aren't sure what we're talking about, there's an amazing video where Conan O'Brien, the comedian, goes to We Spa in LA and gets the exact body buff that we're talking about. Now, they, for whatever reason, they don't offer the body buff to men anymore, but oh my god, it's so wonderful to go in and have a nice little old Korean lady scrub the like every skin cell you've produced since birth
Yeah.
off of you and kind of judge you for it a little bit. Like they look at, like afterwards, like after, I swear to god, they've like tossed the little scrub at me, like
Yeah.
judgmentally, like, get out of here, you filthy animal, and scrub some of these skin cells off yourself
with the dead skin snakes
oh
on
yeah
it.
oh yeah so I
Like,
love it. And afterwards, I'm like, here's your extra like $20 for how good of a job you did of dealing with my grossness. I miss those ladies so much, and they're amazing. Miracle workers.
And back to black hair for a second,
yes,
and African products. Shea butter, SHEA, shea butter. Everybody knows cocoa butter because it does smell like chocolate and it's amazing. And it's solid at room temperature. Shea butter is even, it works for my skin even better than cocoa butter. It's very thick. Think lard, really, but a little bit more solid. But it works on your hair. If you have thin hair and you're somebody who likes to surf or likes to go into salt water or something like that, on your hands, liquefy it, put it on your hair, and it is a physical barrier, and it's awesome. Yeah, shea butter. Yeah. My white people, y'all need to learn more about like how to actually use oils and butters because it's great.
I have a friend who figured out that she had curly hair in her 30s from watching all of the videos on the curly hair, because she was like, oh, maybe if I try, and just ringlets appeared. Ringlets.
Yes.
So now I'm like, maybe I just haven't been doing my hair right, because my mom and brother have ringlets. Maybe I just need to throw some. So I'm curious, if I throw some shea butter in there, maybe I will find out hair textures I never knew I had.
Now it is very, very, very thick, and for people with fine hair, you might go, oh my god, this is horrible. Why did Jamila tell me that? And it's like leaking down my neck and I don't like it. Well, we got to experiment. I did not say go and buy 5 pounds of it. You know, get 8 ounces, and if you don't like it on your hair, put it on your feet and then put on socks, and then you will like get rid of all that scaly stuff.
Oh yeah, there's nothing, there's no moisturizer you cannot put on your feet and be happy with the results. Like that, you'll be fine. It'll all be good. Thank you for walking us through that, because I had questions about black hair that I didn't know I had that just got answered. So that was, and there were a lot of people in the audience who really appreciated that. So that was
olive oil. Olive oil is great. Olive oil is so light for me. Olive oil is like heavy water for me personally. In the heat of Washington DC humidity in summer, I can like go. You know what? When it is safe to go out and have people you don't know breathing on you again. Yes, everybody should go to a black hairdresser at least once, just to get a sense of people who understand very quickly the various levels of hair texture. And it's not uncommon that you've got at least 2 or 3 on your head. And it's funny, my son, who is, he's half me, he's half his Jewish dad. His hair is actually it's like little plugs. If you think of a baby doll, one is that coil that I have, and then one is like a straight tuft. So he's got like coil, tuft, coil, straight, and like, and it's funny because I recognize, like, okay, well, let's put some oil in it and let the curls take over. And his dad is like, no, let's just brush it out and have a big kind of puffy, soft cloud on his head. And I'm like, yeah.
like I'm in favor of the big puffy soft cloud, but then again, I don't know the pain of having a big puffy soft cloud, so I don't know what it's like. It's not my hair. I don't know how that feels. Like because I have such thin hair, I've always wanted a fro. Like, and I think it's just you want what you don't have, and you don't understand what it's like to have the hair that you don't have. So you're like, I want that. That looks great until you have it. So
yeah.
Oh, man, let's hop
I'm
back.
sorry I went off on that.
Nothing. Look, the audience fucking loved it. They were thrilled with that. It's anything that's a break from the misery of COVID right now is wonderful. People were like, "That was fantastic." It wasn't the harbinger of doom for a minute. And look, I have some good news. So people are asking about this new strain of COVID over in England, and I am not as terrified about this as the news is making it out to be, because people are like, this is way more infectious than other strains. And I'm not that worried yet. Like, I'm not too concerned because nothing is. Have you seen this much in the news? Have you looked into it?
Well, yeah, I have. So I'm in a master's program right now at a university in Cornwall, England. And because I'm a plague demon, I mean, I was doing it remotely anyway, but I had hoped to be able to, go over and meet Warwick Davis in person and stuff, because it's awesome, but that didn't happen because they're keeping us plague demon Americans out. This particular strain, while it seems that it might actually spread more quickly than the current strain that we all have come to know and love, it's still relatively few people with it. It's
like what it seems possible that's happened here, because it seems to have spread in an area of England that didn't have a lot of spread before. So it's hard to know if this is spreading more readily, more quickly, or if it just had more hosts available. If there were super spreader events, it's hard to tell. The other thing is it doesn't seem to have any more symptoms. It doesn't seem to be more deadly. It seems to be doing the exact same things. This is a good point. Someone Julian just pointed out in the comments. It's Cornwall has one of the lowest rates of infection in the UK, and it was and this is where it's taking off. So it's taking off in an area that didn't have a lot of infections
before.
So it had all these meaty, juicy lungs just being like, oh, come in here and set up shop. So it's hard to tell at this point if it's more it could be more infectious. Very possible it's more infectious, but it's also not at this point. We don't seem to see any evidence that it's causing more harm to the people that are getting it. So I'm not worried that it's going to hurt more people. And the other thing is, how do we avoid this disease anyway? It's the exact same way that we avoided previous mutations, right? Stay the fuck home, put on a fucking mask, wash your fucking hands, don't touch your fucking face. Where you don't have to change anything about your behavior. Now, I know countries that were accepting flights from England, which they shouldn't have been, are like, we're going to close out our flights. Yeah, why weren't you doing that before? England was a hotbed of this. So
flying in a pandemic.
It's if you have to fly if you absolutely have to, like, there are kind of ways to keep it less potentially horribly unsafe, but yeah, if you could avoid flying right now, fucking avoid flying right now. So but yeah, like, especially so there are my thoughts on this new strain. I don't see any, like, this could up, like, there is a potential for any strain to mutate to get way fucking worse. Obviously, that happened with the 1918 Spanish flu, because the strain that evolved from the spring. I almost said spring strain. The strain that evolved from the spring strain to the October strain that killed 195,000 Americans in 1 month. That's what really fucked us. It was a crazy mutation that really hurt people with healthy immune systems. And we haven't had that kind of mutation with this. We're having apparently possibly a mutation that's making it more transmissible. But, this could mutate to be something more deadly. Hasn't happened yet so far. So we're all panicking right now because of this. I'm not too worried. I'm going to keep doing the same thing I've been doing, which is holing up in my attic talking to Jamila, obviously. So, and just waiting for the vaccine.
So back in 1918, everything old is new again, right?
And the Red Sox got the curse of the Bambino, and we got the Spanish flu. I'm just cheers.
When the 1918 plague first started, the news and the scientific reports of the day were, Black people can't get this. Black folks actually have natural immunity because they are, stronger and hardier, and we should hire Black people.
Thicker and they can't feel pain.
Right. So we should send them into places where we know that there are a lot of people with the condition, and we should let them take out the dead and do the lesser things about the living people, because they're not going to get this. When this COVID-19 first started, there were I'm not going to call specific family members, but God damn it, I'm related to a whole bunch of people who said Black people can't get this. We're fine. We have natural immunity. Look at the low rates of COVID-19 in every African country you see. And it's like, y'all, you can't look at places that learned how to deal with Ebola versus my freedom says breathe on me.
I'm just saying I say this knowing, like, you probably know this. I'm just explaining this out to the audience. Part of the reason that some of those African countries did not get hit right away is because those were not tourist hotspots or large population centers. It's kind of like why North Dakota didn't get hit right away and New York City did. Population centers has not a lot to do with who's living there. So, man, that's painful. That hurts to hear.
Yeah, well, and of course, as soon as folks recognize, Black folks can get this.
Yikes.
And then when you realize that, economically, culturally, people who are likelier to live in intergenerational housing, I grew up in a house with both of my parents and both of my mother's parents. There was one day I came home from school to no adult in the house. I still remember that day.
Whoa.
It
never happened?
Because it happened one time. I was like, oh my God, I'm alone in the house and the liquor cabinet's right there. Liquor. But culturally, economically, whatever it is, where you have big families with Nana and Auntie and whatnot, you're going to have your vulnerable populations there. You're very young, you're very old. So, that essential worker who's at a food service place where the freedom fighters make sure they get to breathe on you, they and that person goes home and feeds grandma, or plays with little baby, who, and we know kids are super spreaders. Kids will, again, which is why I'm keeping my puberty demon here without any interaction.
What's been amazing is that people have been in deep denial about the fact that kids can spread this. And they're like, oh, they're less likely to spread this. Yeah, they're 50% less likely. But if you get a large classroom of kids together and you just go, oh, each one of these kids is 50% less likely, and there are 30 kids in a room, and you multiply that by 6-7 hours a day that they're in a room together. What's the, why do I even have to say this? Why is this a thing I have to argue with people about?
Then you put them on buses.
And you say kids aren't going to wear their masks, instead of saying we're going to work with our kids for a month before the school year starts on proper mask usage. Just there are things we could have done better from day one, and instead of doing them better, we just said this is too hard to do it well.
You know, colleges had to send very smart young people home. The whole reason that you and I and everyone on the stream are even sitting where we sit is that people between like puberty and 25 can't stay away from each other. It is we evolved to want to get together with each other, especially at that hot-bodied age, you know, that lasts about 15 years. And if you're lucky, 20, you know, aging sucks. So to expect that children are not going to pull their mask down and pull other things down and, you know, enjoy that, you know, that rush of hormones that only humans can give each other.
I'm just thrilled that 2 of my housemates have started banging during the pandemic, because at least that's 2 fewer people in the house that are leaving to go out and find some strange. I'm like, look, 2 fewer potential vectors in the house, and there are 2 people in better moods now. This is a win-win. Like, I'm just applauding anybody who's getting laid in the pandemic. Just people who are watching more porn. I'm just applauding anything you're doing with your genitals to be in a good mood that's legal, safe, and sane. Just go people who are in a good mood somehow right now.
I'm sleeping more and baking more. It's just that's my coking. My coping. When I say coping, no, this is what I mean. I never drank soda before the pandemic. It was so sweet, and so I just didn't. It was so I've turned into a sugar addict. This is what I meant. You know.
It's funny because I rarely drink sugared soda, and like I've turned into someone who will have like a couple times a week 1 bottle of especially Jarritos tamarind soda.
Oh my God, that's amazing! That and the pineapple are my 2 favorites.
Oh, I like their lime and their mandarin, but like the tamarind one just really there's something in that flavor that just does it for me. I love it so much.
It's umami almost, but sweet umami. It has good mouthfeel.
Yeah, it's I just want to throw it out there that mouthfeel is a wonderful word that is not used enough. I just use the word mouthfeel more, children. Use it more. Anyways, so let's see. Let's before I feel we're gonna do more COVID, but let's take a break from COVID and talk about my letter, shall we? Just because it's fun.
Yes.
So guys, and here's the thing. I could be mistaken that this was from an inmate at a correctional facility. It's possible, but it seemed unlikely. So I got it's always weird when you have like cutouts from like from newspapers and whatnot, and it's always weird that someone found my fucking address. But I was on a TV show a couple years ago. I was a guest star. I was, you know, they had me on for 1 episode of the show Second Opinion, because I'd written an article for Self on my insomnia issues. I'm like, I'm a scientist with insomnia, so I looked up some science to figure out how to not have insomnia anymore. Anyways, so there was me, and there was also, you know, they had their cast of doctors, and this is like, if you want a good medical show, Second Opinion on PBS is like, there's no bullshit to it. It's not like The Doctors where they're like, let's tell you how to take a wine bath to absorb resveratrol. Like, they're not fucking cunts about it. Anyways, so I'm on the show. I've forgotten completely about the fact that I'm on the show, except for occasionally drinking out of my mug that I got for being on the show. And I get this piece of mail, and I mean, it's just like, it's not like, it's just, hey, the things you talked about on the show reminded me of this thing and this Jehovah's Witness thing. I hope you'll consider it. I know you're looking into, but like, it's not too creepy of a letter. But here's the thing. It's also written, let me just cover up my address. It's written in Comic Sans. Like,
yeah, that's suspect right there. That's yeah.
Comic Sans is the font of, I'm going to take your face off and wear you as a part of my clown costume that I finally completed. Thank you for being a part of my clown costume. Anyways, but that happened. So I look up the name. At first I was like, what the? what's going on with this? I was a little, you know, like, how did he find my address? I was a little worried about this, but I also know that Jehovah's Witnesses have like, they mail like but like, you know, I've gotten a handwritten thing from a Jehovah's Witness before, but it's been like a generic thing. This one was, I saw you on TV and I had to find you to email you, which is creepy. So I look up the guy's name and the town that he's from, and there's only one person from this town with this name that I can find. And I can't find anybody. And he signs his name with the middle initial. And I'm just saying, if you had this name with this middle initial and you knew that there was another person with this name and middle initial, you would not sign your name with this middle initial, because the only person I can find with this name and middle initial killed his parents and his two brothers in 1973 and is serving 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole for doing so, and sent me mail.
Yeah.
Whew. Anyway, so that was a panic attack yesterday. I just wanted to. So, if anyone is, I just want to throw that down. That if any of you guys have ever had the passing thought that you're like, hey, being famous would be fun. Just recall that the day that Mrs. Auntie Cybabe got fan mail from an incarcerated serial killer who's trying to convert her to being a Jehovah's Witness, and she sat there questioning her life decisions, and that could one day be you. So that's all I wanted to let you know. It's someone's asking, what did it say? It's just like, here's the thing I want you to consider about becoming a Jehovah's Witness. That's all. From prison, where I sit here as a crazy person who killed my family. That's, don't worry. Like, it's not a threatening letter, to be fair. But just, Jesus Christ, that will.
When it comes to your home, see,
he knows where I live. That's weird.
Yeah, you know, you get accustomed to getting letters, particularly from incarcerated people. I spent a decade working at NPR. You know, when it was at 635 Massachusetts Avenue, we said that because you at the time would get listener letters, you know, before everybody wanted to just email you right away. You'd get that kind of stuff. I remember the first time I got a letter from jail. I was reporting in my hometown of Pittsburgh, and the county jail was, you know, as the crow flies, 5,000 feet from the radio station. You know, you could see it, and it wasn't that odd on occasion to have somebody write, "Oh, I love the way you say your name on the radio," or whatever. I listen to you every day at 4:16 when you hand off to Evelyn Hawkins at the time. You know, yeah, and I'm like, well, this is, I don't like getting letters from prison. But you did, and it was like, okay, well, okay, yes. But to come to your home, that's a whole other level of breach.
Yeah, like they found my home address. It's like if I got an email from a prisoner or something that's saying, "Hey, I found your whatever, and I have questions," that'd be something. I'd talk to that. Like I'll answer emails. I'm happy to engage with people that it's just finding my home address just seems like a serious fucking breach of my ability to feel safe. And that's like, especially when I know that there are people who hate me for the things that I've written about them or the beliefs that they hold dear. Like, I got death threats after I went on Joe Rogan for, you know, saying that chiropractic is bullshit. So yeah, like when you're the type of person who debunks things that people hold like dear to their sense of identity, you don't want people knowing where you live. So yeah, like here's the thing. I hold it open that I am incorrect about this person being a serial killer. It could be another person with this name, but I doubt it. But yeah, it's just having someone see me on a TV show and find my, like, if it was just, like I said, a generic Jehovah's Witness letter, because those show up, wouldn't be as weird, but they saw me on TV and found my address. I'm also on the Weather Channel. This does not make me feel very secure. So, anyways, but that's a thing that happens. I just find this amusing. Someone just said, "Oh Lord, fuck Joe Rogan." Look, I was on a show, and I have regrets about some decisions I've made in my life. I also did not. Somehow, I think I'm the only person who went on Joe Rogan's show and did not realize it was the biggest podcast on the planet.
You know what? I'm gonna take the opportunity to perhaps make a whole bunch of people dislike me right now.
It's
you know,
this is my audience. They're still gonna love you.
Joe Rogan serves a purpose in a democracy. In a democracy, we need to have a plethora of ideas that come out. Now, somebody says his audience is the worst. I agree. There are a lot of people who are just, vicious and hateful and loud and wrong. However, Joe Rogan talks to people who have something interesting to say that other folks won't talk to. Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan, I liked him as a comedian. I liked him as a martial artist. That dude has, for a guy who's, okay, forgive me, let me just kind of fangirl for a second. For a guy who's built as, I like my guys more ox than giraffe. I like him.
He's an inch shorter. For the record, he's an inch shorter than me. It was fun. I went into studio wearing my Doc Martens so I could look down at him just a little bit, just to intimidate him.
But for a guy who's like that short and stocky and thick, he's really efficient with his kicking, particularly to hip and shoulder height. Like, he's really powerful through all the obliques and the core, and he's so great at kicking to the face of somebody who would be 5'6". And I like it because,
so
to be honest,
he'd be really good at taking out Ben Shapiro if he could ever form an opinion.
That would I think you should think about it. Joe Rogan has interviewed authors who have gotten shot down elsewhere, who I deeply believe. See, and you got to understand, I am a journalist. I am as pro First Amendment as you get. But I took my 4-year-old child to the Hustler store in New Orleans to go and meet Larry Flint because he was a First Amendment icon, and I wanted my child to meet someone who had argued for the First Amendment in front of the Supreme Court.
I love that.
And I realized that there are a whole lot of people like, you horrible, you took your kid to the Hustler store. Yes, in New Orleans. It's a tourist trap. It's not,
I'm sure people are like, your child is scarred for life. No, your child's fine.
He's fine. He's fine.
It's the number of religious fundamentalists who have been hitting their kids since they were 6 months old have probably scarred them much more.
I feel like, again, let me put it. I'll use this language. Carolyn Bryant is an 87-year-old white woman. She's best known for being the reason that the little boy Emmett Till was murdered in Money, Mississippi in 1955. She lied about the child and said that he whistled at her and did all that talk. Her husband and her husband's friend showed up where this child from Chicago had gone down to see relatives. They broke it. They forced their way into the house. They were white men in the middle of the night in Money, Mississippi. It was a forcing in, but a legal one. And because this woman lied, because this woman lied about this child speaking to her, whistling at her,
Christ.
They brutalized him and tortured him and murdered him. Okay.
Did anybody go to jail for the murder of Emmett Till?
No, there was a 1-hour trial. There was a 1-hour trial, and the jury admitted that they took a break because they didn't want to come back too quickly, and they acquitted J.W. Milam and whatever Carolyn Bryant's husband. I'm just angry, and my names go out when I'm angry.
I don't blame you.
So why do I bring this up right now? Well, I bring this up because when you can't talk about reality, you can't talk about the things that matter. I am a woman. I understand that women get sexually assaulted all the time. If you know a woman who hasn't been, who hasn't at least had the attempt made to sexually attack or assault her, I mean, I've been called a unicorn a lot in my life, but that's just, you found the golden unicorn.
Yeah.
If you believe in the Me Too movement, you have to recognize that there are women who have lied, who have ruined lives. You believe women, absolutely, but investigate the claim.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan talks to people who have the audacity to say, she's probably lying. Are they stupid sometimes about how they say it? Are they indelicate in the way they say that? Abso-freaking-lutely. But
and here's the thing: are some of the people who go in and say these bitches are lying, are some of them just reflexively saying it? Yeah, but
yes.
At the same time, because there is a history of white women lying specifically because they're attacking a black man, there needs to be a space to talk about.
There needs to be the space to talk about that without automatically going to you're wrong. And if we had a robust press in this country, and I am casting aspersions on my fellow journalists here, if we had a robust press that wasn't lapdogs, that wasn't hopeful to get that invitation here and there, if we actually held power to account, if we actually read books and then said, that's not what you're saying, that's not what this book says, this book says this, I read it, and we're going to talk with the author about it, as opposed to saying, you can never consider that issue. I
think Joe Rogan sometimes falls short of really pressing the people he has on there and holding.
He's not a journalist. Yeah, he's not a journalist.
He could be so much better at what he has an amazing platform, and I think sometimes he doesn't do his due diligence sometimes with it. But I think the press could be so much better at how it handles assault and rape accusations, because instead, there's this line that people aren't sure how to handle between saying, well, what were you wearing? Were you drinking? And trying to do diligence of asking around and doing the, were there witnesses? What happened? And I think it's hard to manage because a lot of times with accusations, there aren't witnesses, but it's like, and I say this as someone with a master's in forensics, there's a difference between saying believe women and listen to women and investigate everything. And it's like, I think that there are people who are who automatically come across as having credibility, and we just believe them without any amount of looking into it. And sometimes we give, and it's a shitty reality that we give white women credence where they shouldn't have it without an investigation, and it's hurt black men historically. So this is why I say listen to women, but everything deserves to be investigated, not just accepted immediately. And it's like, but here's the thing, this is why I look at Joe Rogan's podcast and go, he doesn't I was on that podcast and he pushed back against me more than I've seen him push back against Alex Jones. And I mean, I would love to see a Joe Rogan type space where there's more journalism happening.
I want to see more journalism happening.
More journalism in general, period.
I said, this was years ago, and I put it on Facebook. I got into an Uber, and I saw the guy's for some, I don't know, in DC, I think they're required to have the identification tags or whatever or something. And so I saw this really uncommon name, and I recognized, after I'd been talking to this person and falling in love with his use of language. And I mean, it takes a lot for me to be like, oh my God, I just want to listen to you talk. Like this guy, and I saw his name and I realized who he was. And I got out of the Uber and just started crying. This was a columnist that I had been reading since I was, maybe 12 or 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
Driving me around, to happy hour or something. There are people who understand this government and how it works, and how people interact, and how structures take power and exploit it, and they can explain it so well. And they're delivering food right now. They're driving Ubers right now. Not that there's do not take it that I'm saying there's anything wrong with delivering food or doing whatever is a side hustle.
You would hope these people are explaining and helping make the government work.
We don't have journalists. We have talking heads. We have, and I am a member of the Association of Opinion Journalists. I mean, I'm somebody who very proudly comes out of the Black press tradition that says, because of who I am and because how I show up in the world, I am able to see things and critique things that other people sometimes will miss. That's just the way it is living in these United States, and I make no bones about it. The idea of objectivity is a great idea. It's not realistic because, to be blunt, when you think about what stories get covered, who pays to send somebody to show up at a thing or not, that's all an objective decision, or I mean, forgive me, that's a subjective decision.
There are some things that are more objective than others, but it's hard to find something that is 100% just straight objective, other than a series of numbers. Like there's no news that's 100% objective.
Exactly, and the fact that you've had usually white, usually people who can do unpaid internships, so that speaks to an economic opportunity that's missing for poor. Journalism used to be a journeyman trade. You had somebody who had to show up overnight and do the crime beat and write the obituaries and whatever. And I'm the youngest journalist in the country that sort of came up when that was just starting to die out. And so we don't have the watchdogs. We don't have a robust fourth estate to make sure that, we're able to hold these people to account, whether, now everything is, as Don Henley sang about the bobble-headed bleach blonde who can tell you about the plane crash with a gleam in her eye.
Oh,
beautiful people who can pronounce things so well that you get drawn into the way that they're talking, such that you don't understand that they're reading from notes written by a 23-year-old intern who used Wikipedia to tell you what's going on. I mean,
my favorite is when somebody gives you awful news and they sound so sincere and so sad about it, and they turn back to camera to you. Coming up next, local sports team does well, and you're like, what did I just watch?
Exactly, and on American Idol lately, and I'm like, why the fuck is American Idol coming up in a newscast? Like, did somebody shoot Simon? Like, what? Like, that's new. Like, I'm not, Simon's my favorite. I like him. I love a good conversion.
Drove past him in traffic once.
Joy
living in LA.
I just wish that I'm sorry, I'm like trying to fix my sock because it's cold on this floor.
It's okay. I'm sitting underneath an electric blanket and a giant poncho, and I'm all just for the audience out there that watches Two Girls One Mic. This was Alice's poncho, so I'm up in Alice's shirt right now. Oh yeah.
So I don't know. We don't have science pages anymore. That science pages and local papers were the first thing to go, and then local papers are going, and that's a problem because when you don't have somebody who can explain, hey, we need to here's what a flu shot actually does every year. Hey, here's what, we had an outbreak of salmonella at the local Chi-Chi's restaurant or whatnot. Here's how we know that it was that Chi-Chi's and it was the chives that made people sick. When you don't have that level of discourse and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, well, it's just a theory. And I'm like, yeah, gravity's just a theory too. You want to jump out a window?
I mean, some of them would probably do it right now if the Trump administration said, hey, jumping out a window, it's fine. It's fine. Like the Democrats said you can't. So check that shit out. Throw your Keurig out with it too.
Yeah.
So
I love you so much.
I love you too.
We need this. This is the type of conversation that I think can actually stimulate people into acting, people into doing, people into being better. Every chance I get to tell folks, you want to go and look at BBC, Google Irish journalist politician, just those 3 words, Irish journalist politician, because in Ireland it is considered the height of oh no you didn't to invent a phrase for a journalist to dodge a question, particularly about, something where people's lives or livelihoods are involved. You want to look at, like, it's not about jumping out of the bushes like Mike Wallace, though that is, I love Mike Wallace jumping out of bushes as he did 30 years ago. It's so important to be able to say, no, you're not going to talk over me. What I'm asking, sir, and it's usually a sir, what we have to find out now. The guy that did the Trump interview on the HBO show, whose name
Jonathan Swan. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I masturbated to that. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's
so
like,
hot.
That's like a 2 out of 10 when you're looking at how Irish journalists interview politicians.
They just sit there and stare at you like,
until
they get an answer.
And we we're worried about losing access. We're worried about, what if we don't get invited back? What if that ain't your job. It's your,
basically because every one of them does not stop until they get an answer. Like and these politicians know they need to get to the press. They know they have to answer the questions, and because all the press is going to treat them the same way. And in America, all the press is going to softball them. So they know they can just eventually go to a journalist that's going to be nice to them because they have Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax. So,
Mr. President, well, look, I love when it was proven that the weapons of mass destruction was a myth. Bold-faced ass lie, but we'll say myth. And it was the first press conference gaggle at the White House. And a journalist I care deeply for, I worked for a year, April Ryan, who then American Urban Radio Network, stood up and asked Mr. President, how do you pray? I remember thinking, well, it don't get worse than that. How do you pray? Bill Maher even seized on that on his HBO show, and just sort of like, what was that? But that level of, pandering softball, hoping that we're just going to have a nice conversation. We can have a nice conversation. I am affable AF. Okay. But let me be clear here. A whole bunch of people died, were killed. We have whole new government organizations that
Yeah.
were unnecessary. People's families were torn apart here and abroad
How do you
over a
pray?
lie. How do you pray?
How do you sleep at night?
You know,
it's how are you okay with not being in jail for being a war criminal?
You know,
Like,
I deeply believe that, you know, everything's a pendulum. It's going to swing back, and we're going to see, you know, we're going to see toothier journalism coming into this administration. We're going to, because I'm going to be blunt. There are going to be a whole lot of journalists that want to take that, you know, that black Kamala uppity, all of the words that they call we black women, we women who dare to be smart and be competent and have an opinion. There's going to be a whole bunch.
I hope I'm speaking this through the entire next 4 years. I hope she doesn't take an ounce of shit through any of this. And like, you know, they're going to throw all the fire at her, that the same amount, the same intensity as, you know, as like the difference between the type and intensity of fire that they threw at Hillary Clinton and that they're going to throw at her is that they don't have 40 years of history to throw at her, and they're going to throw racial shit at her. So there's going to be, it's going to be a different flavor, but it's going to be as bad.
Oh, it will be, and that's going to mean that there are a lot of places that are going to like totally up their journalism games with research and backgrounders.
They're going to
bitch
that. They're going to call her not a real mom because she's a stepmother. Like, they're going to bitch that she's not like an authentic enough woman. Like, there are going to be so many stupid, awful, like deeply heinous, like they're already attacking Jill Biden for having a PhD that they don't think is good enough. There are going to be so many attacks on Kamala and her husband. Like, it's just going to be attacks on her blackness and on her South Asianness, and they're going to be attacks on her husband for being Jewish. Like, it's just going to be an ugly, ugly, ugly 4 years.
It will be, but here's what makes my tiny little Grinch heart grow 3 sizes. Little girls are watching.
God, and I cried so hard when she was giving her acceptance speech.
Oh my goodness. November 7th, it was called November 7th, my birthday.
Seeing all the little black girls in the audience, I was like, oh my God. Yes. How many of their parents never thought they would see that day, and they're watching their kids going, like, yeah, exactly.
You know, and I gotta throw out here's my girl crush. I really thought I was totally hetero, but you have disproven that. Thank you. And in a completely platonic and professional way, I want to say I'm in love with Katie Porter. Katie Porter and her whiteboard is scarier to a man than Mari and a paternity test.
It's scarier than Ronan than their secretary saying, "Excuse me, Ronan Farrow is online too." Like, those are the two scariest thing I think a man can hear. But man, she's I want to see her eventually run for president, or you know, I think she might be a lifer. Like, that's the other thought, is she might head for Senate and be a lifer, but fuck,
you know, whatever she wants to do, I would love President Porter, but you know what? I would also love Attorney General Porter. Could you or Secretary of State? I mean,
or whatchamacallit? I'm just saying, Nancy Pelosi's gonna have to step down eventually. Yeah. We're gonna need a new Speaker of the House, and I would like a younger and just so deeply competent one, and she's there with the deep competence that I would love to see as a new Madame Speaker. So that would be good for the Democrats as a whole, because somebody who knows how to wield intelligence and power, we need that. I would love to see it.
We can hope. Good
times. All right. I see. I just got. I saw your message. Do you need to take off by any chance?
I actually do. I'm having a little
having a thing over there.
Having a thing where I'm at, and I gotta go get my generator going.
We have taken so much. Thank you so much for hanging out and imparting so much.
Oh my
wisdom.
God, I love you. You're awesome. Your audience is smart and well-read and understand.
They love you. You are so wonderful. I know you got to take off like now. We will have you on again, obviously soon. Go take care of your
hair. Yeah.
Come with the big hair.
I'm gonna totally have my Angela Davis fro going, and I'll show examples of the hair stuff.
Good size. All right, I love you. I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna stay on here and chat with my audience more. You go take care of yourself. All right, I love you.
Yes, love you. Thank you for listening to me. You guys be well.
Thank you for speaking to us. All right, I love you, girl.
Bye.
Bye. All right, to go. Hey guys, no, she just shot me a message saying something came up. I gotta take off, but we're at about the 2-ish hour mark. I'm gonna throw my little snow globe on because y'all know me. I like sitting here in my snow globe. I feel protected and like I've got this is my snow fort. I love Jamila so much. Isn't that what she's just so wonderful. What's not to love? Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up relatively soon. I have seen a handful of questions on the vaccine that I want to get to. And it's a lot of the questions in the vaccine are just, I'm throwing out every conspiracy that I've seen. So some of the questions are on infertility, and there's been no evidence that there's an infertility issue. That's just kind of one of those zillion rumors that's floating, and there's been nothing to back it up. I know somebody brought up that there was a quote a study that it could hurt whatchamacallit, that it was that there was potential for it to hurt people with IBD. There was no study. There was a correspondence, a letter to the editor. I want to say it was in Nature. I'm not sure which one, but it was a correspondence, not a study, suggesting that because another vaccine irritated people who had IBD, that there might be an issue for people who have IBD with this one. Here's the thing. If you have IBD, I would think you would rather obviously talk to your doctor, not to me, but I would suggest talking to your doctor about this, because more than likely getting COVID would be far worse for you than any side effects of the vaccine. So chat with your doctor, see if there are any precautions you should take. Thank you for clarifying, Kelly. It's in the Lancet. It's a correspondence. It's a letter that somebody wrote, a scientist obviously, but somebody wrote into the magazine. It's not a scientific research article. It's just saying, hey, we have a suspicion that maybe possibly this could happen. So that doesn't seem to be an issue. Ryan Blackhawk just commented, COVID can make your dick permanently soft. So again, it is unclear on if there have been people treating people for if anyone has been treated for erectile dysfunction yet due to the side effects of COVID. But given that that COVID starts off as a respiratory illness and then moves into your vascular system, as we know from people having strokes and people having, as we call it, COVID toe, where you get these little red dots from more than likely blood clots and whatnot. Your dick works based, and I know I said this on Friday, but for those of you who couldn't make it on Friday, your dick works because blood flows in there. It makes it nice and hard. If you're having vascular issues, guess where one of the first places affected is? Your dick. So please save the dicks, wear a mask. I want your dicks to live. Partially for me, mostly for you, but also partially for me. I'm here for your dicks, gentlemen. Well, not here for your dick. Yeah, I please save the dicks, wear a mask. Anyways, let's see, scrolling up. I know, and one of the other things that's come up a lot is, what about the allergies? What's happening with the allergies? So I'm not sure if I posted this earlier today. I know I saw it earlier today. So there have been 3 allergic reactions so far. 3. Right. And I mean, that can be worrying if some of you guys have some severe allergies, right? You might look at that and go, what's happening with this? So 3 allergic reactions out of, I believe at this point, 1.1 million vaccines already dispersed, which I'm so happy. It's been a week and we already have over 1 million vaccines dispersed. It's going well. So that's 3 in a million chance. And that's probably for, that's for people who have a high chance of allergic reaction. None of these people were harmed, were long have complications. Nobody went into anaphylactic shock. They all managed all of their reactions were managed in office, and they went home that day. So there have been no reactions that have hospitalized people. There have been no reactions that have been worse than, like I said, a minor allergy. So if you have severe allergies, tell your doctor, and you'll be observed for the next half hour to an hour in office to make sure that you don't have a follow-up reaction, and it can be managed. And again, this is all preferable to the potential long-term issues that you can get from COVID. So again, it's happened. Even if I had severe allergies, I would just show up and be like, hey, right here, put it in, stick, give me 7 of them, whatever you got. So the sooner, if you are offered the vaccine, every day that you don't get that vaccine is another day that you're leaving yourself open to those to fatality, to the potential long-term complications from COVID. So please don't turn it down. Let's go through a few. Let's see. Brian Blackhawk asked, I thought the nurse in Alaska had no known allergies, but had a reaction and had to spend the night in the hospital. Okay. I apologize. I hadn't seen that. It's, as always, thank you for the correction. But again, no known allergies. So, but if she had a reaction, had to spend the night in the hospital, fine now, and has immunity to COVID. So even knowing that some people are having these allergic reactions, think about the fact that this is a handful out of a million or so versus 1 in 100 dying and 10 in 100 having long-term fatalities. There is nothing I have heard so far from any of these that is making me even slightly hesitant to both get any of the vaccines that are out or tell you guys that you should get the vaccines that are out. So I know that it's hard when we hear these new things that are happening with this, that it's easy to get a little worried. But let's push on through, and let's try to be rational and be fact-based. What was the other one? A couple people had said Bell's palsy was an issue. Now, there are 2 things that I've heard about this. I want to look a little deeper into it. One is that people are getting Bell's palsy at the exact same rate that you do in the general population. Exact same rate, exact same fucking rate. Because sometimes people just get Bell's palsy. The other thing is Bell's palsy is a thing that people heal from. And Bell's palsy, I believe, is happening at like a 0.03% rate through the population of people that have been vaccinated. Whereas you have a 1% chance of dying from COVID and a 10% chance of a permanent illness or a long-term illness. I can't say permanent because, it's only been out for a year, but 10% chance of long-term illness. So 0.03% Bell's palsy, which you will survive, which we're pretty sure is happening at the same rate of general population, which is a thing that just happens to some people, or 10% rate of chronic illness, 1 chance of fatality. I'm just saying, I have heard nothing that will stop me from getting the vaccine. I have heard nothing that will stop me from telling you that more than likely, that unless you are immunocompromised, unless you have other issues that would stop you from getting a vaccine, that your doctor would tell you not to, if that you should get the vaccine. Oh, here's a really good point that I'd seen earlier. So thank you for pointing this out, Lindsay. Hold on. I will be super happy to get the vaccine. I just clicked on the wrong one. It's some people in the placebo group got Bell's palsy. So that's the thing. Bell's palsy just kind of happens. So not necessarily it's not necessarily a thing that happens from the vaccine. People just get it. It happens. So I'm not worried about that. So I saw earlier a long, it's a really, really, really long rant up here for. Why is it always the people on fucking Periscope that are like, I had COVID for 3 days and it was no big deal? Like, yeah, like I don't know what they're trying to prove, because maybe you had a light case, but there are 300,000 dead Americans, even despite the lockdowns and the masks. And normally only about 30,000 people in a year die from the flu with no lockdowns and masks. So 30,000 annual dead from the flu, no lockdowns and masks. 300,000 dead, mostly since the month of April, with lockdowns and masks from COVID. So I'm glad that you're alive, dude, but you're a dick if this is your point on this. But anyways, let me scroll up and try to find this one here we go. Very long block of text that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through. Jesus. It's just such a long rant that's so crazy. The formation of so-called non-neutralizing antibodies can lead to an they're talking about the vaccine. Let's see. Furthermore, they demand that it must be, try to figure out where to start in here, because it's just such a, why do people come in here with these crazy long rants? This protection should not be continued until a study design is available that is suitable to address the significant safety concerns expressed by an increasing number of renowned scientists against the vaccine and the study design. Whenever somebody says that, they never name the renowned scientists because they're not renowned, and they're probably not even scientists, and they haven't actually seen the study design. And nobody here is renowned or should have any, has no say on this or should have say. Let's see. On the one hand, the petitioners demand that due to the known lack of accuracy of the PCR test in a serious study, a so-called Sanger sequencing must be used. There's no known lack of accuracy of the PCR test. This is bullshit. This is the only way to make reliable statements on the effectiveness of a vaccine against COVID-19. Bullshit. On the basis of the many different PCR tests of highly varying quality, these people know nothing about PCR, neither the risk of disease nor possible vaccine benefit can be determined with the necessary certainty, which is why testing the vaccine on humans is unethical per se. Full fucking shit. This is just word salad at this point. Like, this whole thing hinges on them thinking that PCR tests are unreliable. And yes, you can, above a certain number of cycles, you can amplify a very small load of vaccine of virus. That doesn't mean that it's not accurate. Let's see. On the basis of many different PCR tests of highly varying quality, neither the risk of disease or a possible vaccine benefit. Let's see. Furthermore, they demand that it must be excluded by means of animal experiments that risks already known from previous studies, which partly originate from the nature of the coronavirus. This can be real. I don't even know what that sentence is supposed to mean. The concerns are directed in particular towards the following points. The formation of so-called non-neutralizing antibodies can lead to exaggerated immune reaction, especially when the test person is confronted with the real wild virus after vaccination. That's just not true. I mean, like, people are having an immune response, and that's why people are getting this light, people are getting feeling a little bit ill the night that they get the vaccine. But then, as we've seen in all of these test groups, they're waiting for, and that's how these vaccine test groups work, right? Like, they're giving anywhere between 40 and 60,000 people are included in these initial test groups, right? So half of them are getting the placebo and half are getting the vaccine, and they're waiting for about 150 people to get sick. And if 140 of them who get sick are in the placebo group and 10% are in the vaccine group, that tells you that more than likely it points towards the vaccine working pretty darn well. So you're getting this response by taking the vaccine that makes you feel a little bit ill, but then your immune system is geared up, it's ready to go. So when you see that virus, your system sees that virus, it's ready to fight it off. But this person is claiming that when you see the wheel, let's see, this claim is that when you're confronted with the real wild type vaccination or virus, you're going to have an exaggerated immune response. That doesn't seem to be the case. It just seems that people don't get sick. So this has already been shown in the stacks of human testing, but do go off. Let's see. The vaccinations are expected to produce antibodies against spike proteins of SARS-CoV-2. However, spike proteins are also contain synthetic thin homologous proteins, homologous proteins, which are essential for the formation of placenta in mammals such as humans. It must be absolutely ruled out that a vaccine against SARS-CoV-2 could trigger an immune reaction against this, as otherwise infertility of indefinite duration could result in vaccinated women. That's why oh my God, these people are crazy. And no, there's no chance this causes infertility. But my God, just there, it's an mRNA vaccine that just like these people are not. I don't even know where to start. Just wow, they're hunting for like. I think that there are people that read like they found a thing in a forum that tells them what they want to hear, that this vaccine is scary because it's new and they're latching onto it. What saddens me is that I have friends who I know in the skeptic movement who are likewise saying, I'm going to wait on this. And I know I've said this over and over again, and I'm going to keep on saying it until I'm blue in the face, or until one of these people who are denying taking the thing right away is blue in the face, because of lack of oxygen. You're not fighting with the reality in which it's the COVID vaccine or nothing. You're fighting with the reality in which it's the COVID vaccine or COVID. Okay, like it's the one day of feeling slightly under the weather, and I've seen plenty of my friends in healthcare who've already gotten it say they felt that they were fine. Not even like some of them got a slightly sore arm, which makes me think, maybe I did get the vaccine from Johnson & Johnson. But plenty of people felt fine after the vaccine, which makes me feel really good about that. But you're looking at the vaccine, or you're looking at getting immune via getting really fucking sick. And that comes with a lot of known problems, a lot, a fuckload. Like even if you're one of the people that gets an asymptomatic case, as we've seen, there are plenty of people who end up with long-term lung and heart damage, even if they didn't feel a goddamn thing. So, and we know we've had people who got these vaccines months ago, no long-term issues. We have not seen historically any long-term issues with vaccines. This has not been a thing. So I'm just saying, the worst you're going to get from this vaccine is an allergic reaction that you have to stay in the office for a little bit, get some antihistamine treatment for. You might feel under the weather for a day. Your lungs aren't going to fill with fluids. You're not going to die alone in the hospital on Christmas. You're going to be able to hug your family soon. You're going to be able to lick doorknobs again. So, I mean, I know I'm preaching to the converted, but, please, send this to your family members who are hesitant on it. Talk to them about it. Bring some of these talking points over to them. So that's Dan Keeling asked, and this is something I talked about earlier, and it turned out I like to admit when I'm wrong. And one of my admins is, it's, as you guys know, I have a doctor, an RN, and a PA on my team here. The doctor used to is, as he likes to call himself, an amateur virologist, but he used to work in virology, and he pointed out that indeed the type of antibodies that this vaccine creates would not test positive on the commercially available antibody test, so I didn't even bother. So I was very upset that it wouldn't show positive. But yeah, I didn't even, once he told me that, I was like, what's the point? But thank you, Mommy. I'm so excited. I'm gonna get to hug my mom eventually soon. So you guys are all gonna get to hug. Once we get vaccinated, there's gonna be so much hugging again. I'm very excited. I get to. This is the very. I have a few things I'm doing immediately upon being vaccinated. First one is obviously go to WeSpa because that's closer. Second is flying home to New England to hug Mom. It was funny. We were practicing some Christmas carols last night. Like I told you, we're going to do some caroling. And last night I said to one of my roommates, I'm like, I miss hugging. One of my roommates leans over, big hug. So it was nice. Like I said, we're going to do some caroling for you guys. It's going to happen. There was much practicing. It's going to be pretty. I forgot that I could sing a little. That's a thing that I did in college a lot, and my voice is out of shape, but it's still there. I talked about this earlier in here, but we'll hit this again because it is a big thing. Julie just asked any news regarding the new strain coming out of the UK. Let's just hit this really, really quickly. So the strain in the UK, it's unclear if it is worse, if it is whatchamacallit, if it really is more virulent or more contagious. I'm waiting to get more information on it. I don't know if it's more virulent. The thing is, it's hit in Cornwall, where there were much fewer infections before. There were basically more juicy lungs for it to settle into there. So it could be that it's more contagious. That's completely possible. Or it could be that it's just there are far more people there for it to infect more readily. But the good news is that so far it seems that it's not any more deadly. It's not any more dangerous. People aren't getting different symptoms from it. And the main thing that we need to do to keep ourselves safe from it, it's the exact same thing we've been doing with previous strains. Stay home, wear a mask, and wash your hands. If you have to change your behavior in light of this new strain, it means you were doing it wrong before. So as someone who's been, staying in my attic, I don't have to change anything about my behavior. So I hope that you guys at this point don't have to change your behavior out there in the UK, because it means that you were doing it wrong. So if it means you are suddenly changing your Christmas plans, that means you had the wrong Christmas plans, because we're in the middle of a raging pandemic, and your Christmas plans should be staying at home and Skyping with your relatives, just like I am. But that's what I'm doing. So I hope we're a few days from Christmas. I'm really excited about this. We're going to be it's so just a quick heads up. Just looking quickly at my my calendar for this. The normal whatchamacallit stream is obviously on Friday, and that will be Christmas. My patron stream, because I do a monthly Patreon stream, is on Boxing Day. And if you guys would like to both keep a science communicator off the streets, it's $1. We'll keep a science communicator not destitute. It's just for Christmas. Keep me paid and clothed, and keep the side pets vaccinated. Anyways, there are a couple different ways that you can support the channel over here. Obviously, like I said, Patreon will get you access to the additional stream where I occasionally prank call Republican senators and possibly do my best Melania voice. Let's see, there's also, of course, sending stars on here, which I always appreciate. You can make a one-time donation over at PayPal, or of course, if you just feel like fattening me up, send me candy via my Amazon wish list, all linked below. I just want to answer one more question. Let's see, I see from Julian Becker. I just want to comment this. The BBC is reporting that a quarter of the new COVID cases in London have been the new strain. This also means this means nothing in terms of, I just want to be clear about this. Like, the fact that this is a quarter of the new cases means nothing. It's meaningless. Like, this doesn't mean anything about how contagious it is. It means nothing about how, like, it's possible that this is just, there were super spreader events. It's possible that the people who happened to have this one were doing more. Like, this does not say much to me yet about this strain. Like, I'm not saying it's not more contagious. I'm saying I want more evidence. So it highly possible it's more contagious. Highly possible the people that caught this one might just also be idiots. Oh, also one last thing. If you join my Patreon, and this is possibly the best part of my Patreon, you get my cheesecake recipe, and my cheesecake recipe is fucking good. Anyways, so please come join. Patreon's going to be delightful on Boxing Day. It's going to be a very Canadian Boxing Day on I believe Christmas Eve. We're gonna figure it out. I'll tell you guys later in the week. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of warning. We're gonna have some live caroling with a bunch of professional musicians and me, who they allow to hang out with them, because I still have a couple of high notes from my theater days. Anyways, come hang out with us later this week. I know that there's plenty of stuff going on. I will probably pop in here with another random stream just because there's so much happening in the COVID-averse this week that, and, it's the holidays and where some of us are a little lonely and we need, myself included. I miss my mom. I want humans in my face. So I'll see you guys again this week. I'll see you guys some more. I'll see you guys on Christmas, and I'll see my patrons on Boxing Day. If you want to come join, it's $1. $1 is all it takes to be a part of the SciBabe patron family. Come join. Anyways, I love you guys. It was so much fun hanging out with my good friend Jamila. If you want to go follow her on Twitter, I believe she is at JBEY1 on Twitter. Anyways, I will see you guys later in the week. I love you guys. Bye.